Welcome to Elementary. I hope you had a fabulous Monday. And so thank you again for watching. And today I am talking about a topic that is probably you're going to resonate with it. I'm sure you're going to resonate with it. But it's the shocking truth about insurance hikes. I can't even speak. And quite frankly, it is kind of shocking. So I have to tell you, I have this app that actually, no, I don't have an app. I have to go online and I sign in, and the insurance company has my premiums. And so I take a look and it says premiums $22.98 or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, same premiums as last year, no big deal. But then money comes to my account and it's quite different. So I go from like 22 something to 38. That's a lot of difference. That's a big difference. I haven't made a claim. I haven't done any of the above. No accidents, no tickets, no claims, no changes in the driving history, no changes to my address. And it sounds crazy, doesn't it? And I'm sharing this because I kind of think that perhaps I'm not the only one who has this issue. So buckle up. It's a wild ride, I'll tell you. And so I say it to my husband, and my husband goes, "Oh, that's strange. Mine hasn't gone up." And I said, "Oh, and now we have separate policies. I want you to understand that piece." And so then I say, No, I think you're mistaken. Take a look again, because I thought the same was his went up too. Now, the crazy part about this whole insurance thing is, of course, I called the premier, and I didn't call him. I texted him, and believe it or not, he called me back. I couldn't believe it. Doug Ford called me back, so that's a good thing. And I kind of shared with him my views about what I thought and how terrible this was. That people have no justification for these increases in the insurance, and they don't have a choice. They just have to suck it up and pay it. So it gets better. My story gets better. I start calling around because now I want to change my insurance. I want to go somewhere else. And the quotes are really, really high. And so, of course, the insurance company tells me, "Oh, it's about what everybody else is doing." And I go, "When did that change? I'm paying insurance for myself. It's not a group policy. I'm not part of a group policy." So this goes on. Insurance company is not satisfying me. They can't give me a good enough reason as to why my insurance should go up. And so I start calling. I felt like I was getting robbed blind, so to speak. So I know I'm not the only one going through this, right? And so then they could not justify why my insurance has gone up. I've lived in the same house. Nothing has happened. Of course, my husband's car got stolen 2 years ago, but his premiums didn't go up the first year. I guess we're both going to have to pay for the measly amounts. Hi, Kimberly. For the measly amounts they paid back on repairing his car. Because mind you, we got the car back. We went and got the car back. And so, okay, we'll get to the second part, because I think that is a whole different ballgame. I didn't make any claims, so I'm not quite sure why I'm getting dinged with his. And we have separate policies. So we are not on the same policy. We don't pay less. We have separate policies for the same reason, is that we don't want our records to kind of if I'm speeding, I don't want him to pay the price, and so on and so forth. Or if I get a ticket or I get into an accident, right? So I start calling around to get insurance coverage. And then I get into talking to someone, and I said, and this person was quite eager to want to sell me insurance. So I kept talking about, I can't believe your premiums are so high, so on and so forth. And I guess finally the guy says, "Well, you made a claim." And I said, "I made a claim?" He's like, yeah, you made a claim on and I think it accidentally came out. I don't think he was meaning to tell me that I made a claim. And I go, "Oh, I made a claim, did I?" On a Toyota Highlander. And I said, "Oh, you mean, how did I make a claim? That's not my car. I didn't even make a claim on that car. So how can I make a claim?" So somehow while they're taking money from both of us as separate premiums, it's very clear it's separate premiums, they've now decided to blacklist me I said black labeled. My husband started laughing. He thinks I make up my own words, but yeah, whatever. Blacklist, black labeled me because his car got stolen. And the second part is like the last year we had no insurance. Like mine went up like moderate amounts, but his didn't go up at all because he has accident forgiveness. So I guess if you have accident forgiveness, you get to pay in the following year, and then they take it out of everybody else in your household, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I called the premier's office. Well, I didn't call his office. I actually texted him. So he responded to me, and he tells me he's going to deal with this situation. I'm sure he's got other pressing issues, tariffs, the whole 9 yards. I mean, that's more pressing than my measly plight about insurance. But I just feel like this is so wrong. This is so wrong on so many levels, and I wish I could just roll over and look the other way. I somehow wish one day I'll wake up and I would be less, more likely to just kind of, and it doesn't matter. I could be a billionaire tomorrow, and I will not have this will not shake down because, no, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. My jaw hit the ground without a doubt to think that I've gone from like 2,200 and change to 3,800 and change. I mean, that's a big difference, right? So other than calling the premier who responded to me, I did do a couple of things. And so I wanted to share that with you. Now this report is not done yet. I'm in the process of getting it dealt with. So part and parcel of doing this is that I looked up, and there's an ombudsman. So every insurance company has their own ombudsman that you can get in touch with. And the ombudsman actually will look into your report. I'm not sure if they're going to do anything. But the first portion of it is that you have to escalate it internally. So I had to call back the insurance company after I went through so much pain with them and not getting anywhere. I still had to call them back because I had to escalate the call. So then I was told, okay, a manager will call you back. That's part of the process. So the manager calls me back, and I'm not sure why they called me back if they were not going to do anything about it. They still didn't give me any justification for this whole thing. And I kind of said, like, honestly, you're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. Like, what are you doing here? Do you want to make changes to your insurance? And I think that's kind of the whole issue is that they want to make changes to your insurance. And so now they can say, you no longer have that policy, you have a new policy. So once they do that, you can't go to the ombudsman and continue with your claim because it's now considered settled. So I said, well, no, I'm trying to understand why I'm getting this premiums. And he could not give me anything. There was nothing he said. He says, this is the offering we're making to you. Offering, like they were doing me a favor by giving me a high premium. I felt so special. Anyways, so I had to say, look, okay, so if you can't do anything else for me, where do we go from here, right? I wanted to tell them where to go, but I didn't. I was behaving myself all this while. So what I did was, the first step we did was to get a DASH report. So you can go into DASH Consumer Driving Report or Driver Report and get this report of all the claims and see what they've registered against you. And I'm still waiting for that to show up. And the second thing I did was, since I jumped the gun and had already emailed the ombudsman, I'm kind of tracking back that process. So the ombudsman said I had to do all of this, and I had to get a business decision letter, I think it was called. And so that's why I had to call the insurance company back. I had to get this business decision letter. And then I sent it to the ombudsman, and they asked for a whole bunch of things. And they said that they're going to, they would need a few more detailed questions answered, and then they will get back to me in the meantime. So I wanted to share this piece with you. I know it was a long story. It was a long story, a long version of it, but I wanted to share this with you just in case someone is going through the same sort of situation. So I'm I was thinking about it and I'm thinking, what if the average family, let's say you're living paycheck to paycheck, and then you get this bill. I mean, if you get more than $1,000, more than $1,200 on your insurance, that's more than $100 a month. And some people are saying they're getting slapped with, a bill that they cannot understand. And the other part to it is that if my car didn't get, okay, my husband's car gets stolen, but the other part to it is that I didn't make a claim. So why am I getting penalized? And car thefts are like a whole different situation. I get it. The insurance companies are going through a lot with car thefts, but that's not our problem. We've got a bigger problem at hand, and we really need to kind of push to get some laws changed when it comes down to, how we penalize people for, there are countries out there that don't have this level of crime, because they don't get off that easy. Even the cops are saying, hey, these are the same people, repeat offenders. They get dinged and they're out and they're doing their thing and they're back to stealing cars. And it's just out of control. And while things are quite a bit better, they haven't come to steal our cars for a while, but maybe our cars are a little older now, so they don't really care about it, And that's the other reason why I don't want to buy a new car, because I don't need the hassle. I want to sleep at night. I don't need them coming on my driveway. Having said that, this is a bigger issue. While the insurance companies are paying, and that's not my problem, they have to pay. What about all of those years where we paid them and they paid nothing and they made hand over fist money? But now that they have to pay out, now it's a problem. But having said that, absolutely, I do have some sympathy towards those companies, because our legislative piece sucks and something needs to get done about it. So having said that, that's my story about that piece. Now, every time, if you have any questions, drop it in the comments below. If you think you have something similar with regard to insurance that you think it would be beneficial for us to know, share the comments below, because I'd love to, talk about this further. Now, I'll do a follow-up piece to this because I want to share what happens with my situation. And, it could be quite likely that nothing will happen with my situation. And that's just the way it is. But it could be quite likely that, something will happen. But I can't understand how nothing will happen, because right now I can't seem to get a better price. I literally have to discount what I have in order to get a better price. And I don't mind doing it because I really, don't need the insurance coverage that I have or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is it's like buying that bottle of, Heinz or whatever, buying a bottle of ketchup for whatever price. And then you go back to the store and then you see somehow the shrinkflation has kicked in and the bottle is a little different. The price looks the same, but the bottle's changed. And so it's kind of the same concept, right? Hey, how about we bundle what we give you a little differently and take away all of these things you have? Because we technically, we want you to go. We want you to go somewhere else. But it's actually blowing up in their face because no one else wants to give me a better price. So I'm here to stay, or who knows what. Anyhow, all is not lost yet. I still think our system, I may have a different view on this a couple weeks from now when I get my final answer, so to speak. But I'm hoping our systems that we have in place to deal with this situation is something that people can actually look up to help them in a situation, help them when it's not their fault, when they have to go through something so drastic like I'm going through. And I know it sounds like I'm whoa, it's me, I'm going through this big problem, but it's kind of it's stressful. It's stressful when I have a thing, I get ticked off when people are what should I say? When there's no justification, people are ripping you off, the whole 9 yards. So anyhow, so that's kind of where I stand with that. Now, the next part of today's event is how is the market? And I get asked that a lot. And so a lot of times, answering the question, how is the market, is not as simple as people think it is, right? How's the market comes out in so many different ways. Like, are you talking about the investment market? Are you talking about the condo market? Are you talking about, what market are you talking about? So, but having said that, the one thing I will say is that the market was picking up until about maybe a week ago when we started getting into this, or 2 weeks, whatever, started getting into this tariff nonsense. And so once this tariff came in and people started getting a little worried about inflation, crickets. And the condo market is in a situation. Having said that, there are so many condos on the market. There are people walking away from condos because they've got nothing to lose at this point. They have, investors, the builders now having, so what happens when, I don't know if most of you know, but, let's say condos, they have a condo project. They have to be 80% sold out in order to get all of their money. And so what happens is a lot of times, 20%, if they're not sold, the builder will hold on to it. And, what we've been seeing happening is after the project is sold, there's this influx of people coming in saying, hey, do you have any more? Do you have any more? And the builder will end up selling whatever other condos they have on the market at a higher rate. And so that's been working in their benefit so far. And so what then happens is, what's happening now is people are kind of weighing their odds. Like, should I close? What's going to happen? And so a lot of times people are looking at their how much they're going to lose versus what the down payment and what the odds are for the builder to come after them. And some people can't even close because they are not even getting approvals for mortgages, right? So having said that, we are noticing that there are some people walking away from these condos. And so they're going to lose their deposits and they're going to take a chance and hope that the builder doesn't come after them for any extra money. But in the meantime, the builder now has this abundance of inventory. So maybe they had 20% of their own units left over, and now they probably have another 10 or 15%. And so now, nobody wants to rent out that because then it's no longer a new product, right? And so, yeah, the condo market's in a whole different situation. And if, you're in a building that, sold 4 years ago, or a project that you paid maybe 6 years ago, and now you've been in the condo for 2 years, there may be some chance that you will get away by breaking even or making a little bit. But then you're selling at a lot less per square foot versus somebody who's just closing at 11, 12, 1,400 a square foot versus like $8, $9, $1,000 a square foot, right? So big difference. And so that's what's going on in the condo market. And so on the 12th, which is Wednesday, we're going to have an announcement for the interest rates. And more than likely, we have a mortgage agent on the show today, so maybe they have better insights. But with all of these changes, it's a very testy situation and we don't know what's going to happen. More than likely, originally, before all of this talk of tariffs, they were going to hold March. That was what people were saying. But I'm not quite sure. Maybe with this talk of tariffs, people might just drop. But then once interest rates drop, it also tanks our dollar, which is already taking a beating. And, this whole thing of tariffs also, it really kind of aims to do that to a country. So while their dollar drops, and you're putting on tariffs, the goods still cost not as much because the dollar is dropped, right? The value is different. But who knows what's going to happen? Looks like we have like a little bit of a crazy man to deal with. So hopefully, the Canadian economy will survive this. We don't have a choice, but we can do little things like buying Canadian when possible and really kind of supporting Canadian over and really taking a look at a lot of our purchases to say, do we really need this? I think when you reduce dependency and you start to eat what you kill, so to speak, it might be better in the long run. Like maybe initially there might be a little extra money, but at least it's Canadian. You know where your food is coming from, or or anything else. And some other things you can do is take a look at your credit cards, go through them, take a look at what your expenses are, like insurance challenges. I mean, it's great because you have these little things that you can put on your credit card where it flags every time something goes through. So, I mean, that really helps me because this is how I caught the insurance amount, because I saw amount go through and I'm like, that's not my insurance amount. Like, what is this? So I go in and then you take a look, and then of course you totally get like zoned out of what you're doing. And it's a distraction, but it's a good distraction because you kind of need to deal with it ASAP. Now, for the cards that don't have that alert system on, I can see how you can forget about it and how you can just, and sometimes it's also little things like small little costs where you don't really pay attention to something little that went through, and then you catch it later on, and maybe it's not even a real charge that someone's just billing you for over and over and over again. But one of the things you can do right now is, of course, buy Canadian, try and keep it local, review all your subscriptions and what you're paying. And, 86 anything that really is not needed. I went through a lot of mine, and even from a business expense, there are little things that you can do without. And you're like, okay, do I really need this? Or if some things are coming up for renewal, it's like, really, do I need this app? Because every $12 here, $10 here, it all adds up at the end of the day, right? And before you know it, you're like, you may as well be paying $100 if you've got 10 of these little $10 items hanging around, right? So it makes, and to diversify your income, get a side hustle, rental income, invest wisely because we know where that market is headed. And any other way you can find either curtail your costs or find ways to make more money. But, most importantly, I wanted to say today about not accepting a premium hike without at least questioning it, right? I think every year we get this insurance premium, and every year, every so many years, I go into this little tailspin going, a few bucks here, a few bucks there, and before you know it, they are charging you a whole hell of a lot. And so, I was saying to myself, every year I'm going to try and, get a price and go somewhere else and diversify my insurance for my auto, the whole 9 yards. And it's not as easy. It's easier said than done, right? And maybe it's easier if you had a broker that you dealt with and not went directly with the insurance company. Maybe they go and find you the price, and maybe that helps. But these days, the brokers are not really coming up with that much of a better pricing. So I want to say, don't accept a hike without at least questioning it, right? So so they know you're paying attention. Pull this claims report, the DASH report that I talked about earlier, and make sure you understand what's on it. And if there are things that are not on it that are associated with you, then you need to, because I'll be honest with you, I got a little kind of perturbed because, okay, I understand my husband has an insurance, I have an insurance, right? With separate insurances, not the same insurance, separate insurances. But then I'm thinking, what if you had people who lived in your house? For example, there are a lot of people who rent out their homes and stuff. What? Now that person drives recklessly and it's going to affect you? I mean, it's a bit crazy, right? I said to them, I didn't remember signing up for a group insurance policy. My insurance is my insurance. I can, I can control other people around me. I can't control anyone other than the way I go about my business and do my drive around or whatever. Don't be afraid to escalate it to the ombudsman. The ombudsman, every insurance company has their own ombudsman that can deal with these issues, and don't be afraid to do that. Now, I will give you a report once I get it. I will share with you the outcome. And listen, if I have a gag order, I'll let you know about that too. But if there's a way to resolve it, then it's great, because then it truly tells you that these things that they put in place have been working. And then paying attention to the bigger financial picture. I know a lot of you might be already very close to the edge on your monthly bills and stuff like that, but just being a little more attentive to what you spend, what you call discretionary. And yeah, and if you have any questions or you have a topic you want me to unpack further, feel free to, reach out. I was saying the other day to someone, it's like David and Goliath, right? And sometimes, or in that case, David won. So it's about not feeling like you're the small person, but fighting for what is right for yourself. And I think that's what Canada is doing right now, standing up, which it makes me so proud to be part of Canada, really. On another note, like I said, if you have any, if you want to get on the show and if you have a topic you'd like me to unpack further, feel free to DM me. Until next week, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jacqueline Watson and I'm a realtor with Sutton Group Tower in Toronto. Until next time, we'll talk soon. Bye.